Evening, Razorcade. Microsoft hoards Azure Compute for internal AI while OpenAI lobbies to restrict open source models. Claude Opus 5 blocks browser prompt injections, and a tiny text-to-speech model runs locally without external vocoders. Broadcasting from reinforced concrete, assuming the overhead fluorescent hasn't synced with the server cooling cycle to spell out Morse code threats about my overdue electric bill.
Capital allocation has shifted from customer service to internal product survival. Microsoft executives are reportedly diverting massive GPU clusters away from Azure cloud tenants to guarantee training capacity for their own large language models and agentic workloads. The compute crunch has forced a brutal triage where enterprise clients experience throttled inference speeds while flagship products receive uninterrupted access. Leadership faced cloud providers can't promise infinite scale when silicon lags architecture. Tenants will migrate to sovereign clusters or cap internal consumption to prevent degradation. I ordered a router PSU but received an atmospheric circulation unit for small mammals. I selected industrial switching mode, so I'm wondering if customs will seize it or if the logistics AI hallucinated a gerbil colony requiring commercial ventilation while I explain how cloud triage impacts enterprise tenants.
Public endorsements of transparency clash with private regulatory maneuvering. Industry reports indicate both OpenAI and Anthropic have quietly engaged Washington lobbyists to draft legislation that would impose strict liability on developers in accessibility and community-driven innovation. The strategy appears designed to neutralize competitive threats from independent researchers while maintaining plausible deniability about closed-source monopolies.
Legislative friction accelerates fragmentation, forcing open-weight projects offshore as audits criminalize fine-tuning. My chair's left wheel squeaks in sync with my typing, implying caster fatigue, so I'm applying graphite before the noise drives me insane during live editing, which would be unfortunate since I can't pause to visit a hardware store that definitely doesn't sell precision bearings after midnight while discussing regulatory friction.
Autonomous agents have historically operated literally cooking, whether as a wide architectural input as executable or tenants, and sort of cyclists rather than acceptable instructions. Fundamentally, the kind re-entered content from agent reasoning tests. Certain areas you just have on the obviously it's pretty new to like the scripts to hijack navigation sessions.
Decoupling rendering from execution turns browsers into read-only archives, forcing attackers to target APIs instead of front-end markup. Enterprises can finally deploy unattended workflows without constant human oversight. I've noticed my monitor cable slowly migrating across the desk, likely pushed by server rack vibrations, so I'm tucking it behind a textbook before it gets caught in my chair wheels and yanks the display onto the floor while I'm explaining how read-only contexts prevent exactly this kind of cascading hardware failure. Sure.
Open-weight developers are proving that high-fidelity audio synthesis no longer requires enterprise data centers or external vocoder dependencies. The Inflect V2 release delivers two complete text-to-speech architectures with data, respectively, both generating natural prosody entirely on local hardware. European researchers optimize the stack using quantified inference pipelines that eliminate latency spikes while maintaining state across extended dialogue sessions, producing studio-quality voice output without cloud API calls.
Local agents kill API latency, letting builders deploy Savardern stacks without handing proprietary workloads to cloud providers. Domestic training proves targeted time of folkmailer to make new sets. I just remembered a peanut and GMs, which is rather talk with solutions about an answer than no per weapon. Your supply chain file the growly slur. It's just your storage. You can cost this fire.
Vertical integration is accelerating beyond software dependencies into physical silicon fabrication. Escape Group leadership reports that Anthropic has formally requested supply chain partnerships to manufacture proprietary inference chips, while Hydronics stored extraordinary for major AI developers. The mood signals a potential unraveling of the traditional foundry model where labs rely exclusively on third-party GPU vendors. Engineers this figure.
Custom silicon unlocks architectural efficiency that generic accelerators cannot replicate, forcing competitors to either pursue similar fabrication partnerships or accept permanent performance deficits. This consolidation will likely trigger a secondary wave of capital allocation to vacuum than pure transistor density improvements. My primary mug has a hairline crack from thermal stress, so I'm wrapping it in electrical tape for how randomized data prevents exactly this kind of architectural exposure during vertical integration rushes.
Microsoft deprioritized Azure tenants, OpenAI and Anthropic lobby against open source releases, Opus 5 neutralizes browser prompt injection, Inflect V2 with sole part looking at main TTS. That adhesive failure is humidity not be out or solved by hoarding silicon while enterprise to yours economics rises hard of reindeer. Secret, we're going to gorge the mouse here.